guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't get that, man. They go through all this trouble to get here and then come here and vote Democrat.
The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic process. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizen can compel a proper meshing of huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Trying a few new things here right now. Not sure if there it is. Yeah, okay, so I'm pretty sure I'm broadcasting properly now. Welcome to the American Awakening. I have some interesting things lined up for you this evening. I thought I'd take a moment and discuss something from the Sunday morning. Morning with Maria Bartiromo? You know, she was. It was pretty amazing. She was down at the. Border on Sunday, and they were doing apparently like a live broadcast from the border, and this bigwig, he's driving her around with ICE, Border Patrol. He's driving around, showing her some stuff, and then there's this one place where this gap is in the wall, and it's where pretty much everybody, all the cartel members, everybody, just funnels all of these basically victims, I call them, through this area. It was astounding. I can't understand. I really can't, right? It's my nature to want to help. It's my nature to want to fight. It's my nature to love my country, right? And want to defend it. I don't understand how people can just naturally or without care watch what's happening and be okay with it, right? Um, the impasse that's been created in Congress, the inability to do any legislation that would keep these people from making this extremely, extremely perilous journey has just been secondary to trying to attack the president, apparently trying to get his tax forms is more important than trying to stop and protect these illegals that are coming across the border. Something I wrote about earlier. Jay and I were driving to go pick up some groceries the other day. Actually, he was doing something really stupid with his cell phone, which we won't go into. But nonetheless, it took us on a journey, and on our journey, we passed this Hispanic gentleman on his bike. And I looked at him, and we were driving slow for a light, and he just kind of like looked away. And I had nothing Trump or anything. We were in his big of piece of crap car as his bike was. No offense, Jay. And so we weren't like threatening to him at all. But he seemed. I just felt almost this look of shame on his face. And I wanted to, it's almost as if the guy wanted to wear like a shirt that said, you know, I'm here legally. Because he probably was, may very well be here legally. Um, but the Democrats, by allowing these just hundreds of thousands of people a month across the border, have really devalued um, the legal immigrants that are here. I did a post online comparing the issue to Louis Vuitton. I thought that's something that well, for sure will appeal to the Asian immigrants, but it's like Louis Vuitton, a really high quality, very expensive line of like purses, wallets, things like that. They are a symbol of status, and someone who recognizes something looks at a Louis Vuitton and says, "Ooh, that was good money. Yeah, that was expensive, right? That was quality." And but what happens if somebody brings in like a truckload of fake Louis Vuittons and they start selling them for like $10 a piece? Or let's go even more easily with the Rolex watches, and you got like all these Rolex. And then what happens when people bring in like, millions of fake Rolexes? What do you do? Well, everybody who's got a Rolex now is going to switch to something else, because that Rolex has been devalued by all of the cheaper illegal Rolexes that were brought into that marketplace. It does the same thing to people. You know, someone who spent a lot of time, filled out a lot of paperwork, did all the right things, and after probably a couple years, sometimes 10 years, they were able to get like citizenship, or they got a visa to the country and built up, or they had a business idea, they had some cash, they came to the country. That's how it works. I lived in South Korea for 5 years, and you go to Korea. If you're an American, go to Korea and you want to start a business. Last time I checked in 2015, you needed about $100,000 American to deposit into a Korean bank, and you could take that down. You could go down to get a business visa, right? So there are ways in other countries, but they actually aren't cheap or aren't easy. They're merit based, right? And so, but here, when you just start letting people roll in, people who are here legally, not only are you taking the services away from them, and from our children, from everybody, with people who have not been invited, have not filled out the required paperwork by law. One thing you should know when you do come to America, we're a country of laws, right? So um, you should start understanding that before you even get here, and then you fill out paperwork and do that. So, any rate, um, I'll move on to that. It was interesting. It was just horrible what I saw with Maria at the border. People were running up to agents right then. Some of the stories from the kids, and you don't know if you can believe them or not. They've been prepped by people right on the other side in Mexico, by lawyers in Mexico who've been telling them what to do. How there are lawyers in the U.S. that are telling them what to do and then profiting from it. It's a huge, just an enterprise that's being built off the pain and suffering and death of women and children and all sorts of people. And don't even bring up the part about the drugs coming into the country. And I'm talking about hard drugs, things that kill people, tens and thousands of people. Um, uh, these are coming in, they're made in China, and then they're smuggled in through Mexico. Uh, I don't understand why. I don't understand. Jay yelled out marijuana. Well, no. Well, the thing with that I found interesting was that when they legalized, I found this to be an interesting thing. When they legalized marijuana in Colorado, before anything, any stats or anything came in, and I understand that this sort of test is still taking place, but literally drug cartels in Mexico, and you can look and find the newspaper articles on this. Drug cartels in Mexico were trying to figure out new ideas to make up for the loss in marijuana sales that they were going to have smuggling marijuana across the border. It it's sad that they considered going to like hostages and ransoming people, ransoming children. That sort of was the marketplace the particular newspaper article I read had stated was their sort of top idea at the time. Hopefully, maybe they came up with something better. I don't know. Invest in Twitter. But, I don't understand why people allow this to happen. Um, okay, so couple big updates. So, I the last episode was largely about the connection I found between Facebook and the ShatterNet, the people I developed the ShatterNet, General James Jones Synology. So last week I left off on that. Well, today I give you just a quick update on that. Today I sent a Facebook open Facebook post from the American Awakening site to the Atlantic Council, to the current chairman of the Atlantic Council. Um, in that, I asked him, and I also sent it to Mark Zuckerberg in case I haven't pissed off enough people yet. Kind of got an issue with this. He sat in front of Congress. Mark Zuckerberg sat in front of Congress and said that he was doing everything he could to ensure the trust and integrity of Facebook's involvement with elections, and then went and hired the father of the ShadowNet as their partner uh, uh, to affect this outcome. I would hope that Congress would want to act on this, right? Um, I also included in my little CC, what is her name? Katie Harbath. She works for Facebook. She has a very interesting background. I think DCI that she worked for. Really like to find out what's involved with that. I think that's important to know. If you're gonna have something, if you're Facebook, and you're going to be telling people that you are trying to affect change and in fact try to rebuild in effect try to rebuild trust in the election process that you were so integral in damaging, so was um, I would suspect that you would want to do that with someone other than the father of the ShadowNet. uh, I wouldn't expect you to do it with like George Soros either. And I sure as heck don't like what I see with Katie Harbath and DCI. I don't think the GOP. Whoa, stop here. And I don't have this. I don't have this pulled up. My bad. How am I looking on time here? Uh, okay, so got about 6 more minutes. I saw a thing, and it was from Tom Fitton. With perhaps tomorrow I'll have that ready and cut into segments where I can go over it. But Tom Fitton was they maybe like a month ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, they exposed through FOIA requests a direct connection between John McCain and the IRS scandal, where Tea Party and where Tea Partiers were targeted. Right now, notice that John McCain was, and people like him were never targeted. Was specifically targeting Tea Partiers. You have to listen to the emails and the discovery process from from Judicial Watch with Tom Fitton. That was excellent. I'll try to put that together for tomorrow. I hope you also notice I have a custom countdown to Trump 2020. We've got 553 days, 9 hours, 44 minutes, 33 seconds till you can go vote for President Trump. It is going to be an awakening like you've never seen. Myself, Jay, others out there are uh, really working hard to bring this enlightenment to people, right? That show with Tom, that thing with Tom Fitton, absolutely amazing. McCain's directly involved with that in the exact same way I'm saying that he was involved with the ShadowNet. It's just, I don't understand why people aren't making this connection, why people aren't pushing these out. I could really use some help with that, right? Um, if you can, we need some equipment and some other things. So if you can help there, if you go to www.victimintheswamp.com, um, from the top of the page there, we have our Indiegogo link. Jay and I were trying to raise some money for microphone, uh, actually either an upgrade in memory or a new laptop, a couple things that we need to be able to more effectively, like the Tom Fitton thing. I wanted to be able to have that all cut up today to be able to show you that. It would have been really good. It would have been effective, right? You can see for yourself. And all I'm doing, it's so easy. Every day that I wake up, I worked for these people for 8 years. I was part of the deep state. Every day I wake up and literally my job was in the pioneering of the social media fake news that you see today, right? So I wake up every day and everything I see is like things that I recognize as being influence operations. I don't know how else to do this, and I need your help. I appreciate if you would add some comments, right? If you have questions about what I'm saying, if you have questions throughout the day, right, that you see on TV, and you're wondering if this is a, like a psyop thing, if this, what do you think about this? I might be able to have a pretty good suggestion for you with that, because what I see, like on Dan Bongino and others, I see them chasing after things in areas, well, where they don't really understand. And I say that only with a slight with a slight hesitation with Dan Bongino. He was former FBI, former Secret Service. He's he's more law enforcement, right? But he gets it. He's worked in the swamp. He's been exposed to that. He even ran for office before. I ran for office before too. So we both have a pretty good understanding of how the government works. But beyond that, I literally worked in the field, in the area of pioneering social media psychological warfare. That kind of gives me a little bit of an advantage, a little bit of an edge for what I'm looking for, right? And I know the players. That's why, but I can't be everywhere. I can't see everything. If I would have had the opportunity to have spent a few hours with Dan Bongino um, a year ago. I first reached out to him. I believe the last time I looked at the DM, he's never looked at it or checked it to my that I could see. But the last one I sent was about March or so of last year. Had I been able to speak to Dan, I guarantee you he would have seen that connection between between Atlantic Council and Facebook. That's when this all started happening, right? So, thank you very much, folks. I hope you enjoyed the information I've provided tonight. Um, I made a few changes today, which is why I haven't been jumping around. But the changes are like good. It's part of the I'm switching over from the beta to the beta platform with YouTube. Over the next few days, I'll broadcast. I'm gonna do a few to Facebook. I'll try to keep this time reserved for YouTube, and then maybe do Facebook at some other time during the day. Um, Again, go to victimoftheswamp.com. You can order my book from there too. Victim of the Swamp: How the Deep State Destroyed the 40-Year-Old Private. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have a wonderful and blessed day.
Guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't get that, man. They go through all this trouble to get here and come and vote Democrat.
The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should nothing happen. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery defense with our peaceful methods and goals.